G'day guys, how are you going? Well, today I'm going to share with you my top 10 old school campfire cooking items that I've been using for years, and some of them for decades, to cook cracking meals around this thing here, the mighty campfire. And you know the best part of all these 10 items I'm going to show you? Not one of them has got a power lead hanging off them. Let's check them out. Righto, so the first old school cooking item that I'm going to show you is my old kettle. Now, this thing has been with me for probably well over 20 years, and it certainly shows. Have a look at it. It's old, it's haggard, but you know, this is probably the first item that I grab out of my camp box every morning to get a brew going on the campfire to make that morning cuppa. But look, have a look at it. It's old, it's haggard, and there's no way I'm going to throw that out. Look, the handle's melted off it. I even had it a few years ago. It used to leak around the spouting around here. So I gave it to a mate of mine. He took it to work and very delicately patched it up. And it's burned me ever since. But you know, but it's got loads of character. And that's why I'm just never ever going to replace it. Have a look at it. It still works an absolute treat. So, you know, I'm never going to get rid of that. That's number one. My old school kettle works fantastic. Let's have a look at the next one. Okay, so number two, the next one I'm going to show you is my old billy set. Now, I've got two billies in here, a big one and a small one. Have a look at the condition of them. You know, I just keep these in such great condition. You know, have a look at that. They're just in such amazing condition. And then inside this one here is my old handmade veggie steamer. Now, I've done dimmies, dumplings, steamed up a number of veggies and that sort of thing over my time, and it works an absolute treat. You know, made that for a few bucks, and you know, it just hangs inside my billy there. Got a video there on my channel there if you want to see about how I went about making that. But yeah, there's the two of them. But look, I went through, you know, through the scouting movement back in sort of the late 1960s, and these are all we used was billies. So, you know, old habits hard to break, and these work a treat. Now, the same with these. These two billies are definitely well over 20 years old. Extremely well used, as you can see, but you know, inside they're just in mint amazing condition. And they're my go-to cooking items when I'm going to be steaming up something on the campfire. Let's check out the next one. Righto, so the next one, number three, is my old stainless steel bucket. Stainless steel is a good way to go if you want to get a metal bucket to put in the fire. Again, this one, I had this when I was doing my bricklaying business. You know, this is well over 20 years ago when we were using this for you know, in my bricklaying game back then. Certainly not using it for that today, but you know, it serves a couple of purposes. It's certainly handy, you know, for getting water out of the river if I want to put my campfire out before I leave camp. But you know, I also boil up water in it, you know, for washing dishes and those sort of things. And occasionally, if I feel I'm starting to feel a bit fancy, I'll warm up a bit of water in my old bucket there and have a bit of a tub, you know, a bit of a bush tub in that. But yeah, it's a great bucket, and yeah, and look, just in great condition because of its, you know, solid stainless steel. Definitely the way to go. So that's my old bucket. That's number three. Let's check out the next one. Righto, number four is my cast iron old school camp oven. You know, I've again had this for well over 20 years, and this thing here would be my absolute workhorse for all of my campfire cooking gear. Is this thing here, the mighty camp oven. Now, I've used it for heating up pies and, you know, cooking roasts, lamb shanks, and you know, just the list goes on of the amazing meals, dampers, all that sort of stuff that this mighty camp oven has cooked over the time. Now, if you're fair income about camping, one of these is an absolute non-negotiable, I reckon, to cook up, you know, just all those amazing meals on that thing there, the mighty campfire. But you know, I'll just give you a look at it inside. Again, you know, have a look at it. This is just how I keep it in amazing condition. And then inside it, I've got my, I'll get him out. Got my trivet in there, which I use that pretty much all the time, depending on what I'm cooking, but pretty much use that all the time, the trivet in the bottom of my camp oven, just to keep the meal off the bottom, to save it from getting burnt. But yeah, have a look inside it. It's just mint. You know, it's just how I keep it. I'm not fussed about how the outside looks, but the inside, that's where all the food goes. So I keep that in, yeah, great condition. Oil it up, keep it clean, and it works an absolute treat. Camp oven, you've got to have one. If you haven't, you're missing out. Get hold of one. Righto, let's check out and see what the next one is. Okay, so number five is the next one, is this setup out the back out here. It's made from wrought iron, and it's made to last. It is an absolutely amazing setup. With the banjos there, got two of them there, big one and a small one. Got adjustable heights, you know, for different sort of things that I might be cooking, whether I want to cook something or just want to keep something warm. I can lift the heights up, and you know, and it just works an absolute treat. You know, I've done chicken drumsticks and, you know, cooked steaks on there, my morning toast for my morning brekkies, all that sort of stuff done on that thing there. Boiled my billy on it. Yeah, it works an absolute treat. So that one there, all handmade. You know, you can't buy it from the shop. You know, I had that handmade by an old blacksmith many years ago, and it's going to last a lifetime, that old unit there. So there we go, that's number 5. Let's check out the next one. Righto, so number 6 of my campfire cooking gear is my 2 egg flips. I'll show you the first one first. This one here dates back to probably late 1970s. I made this at tech school way back then. All hand riveted, little rivets there in the top in there, all handmade. And you know, and I pull that out occasionally and use that to, you know, flip over me bacon, eggs, whatever. But it's just a good old school item that, you know, I just can't part with it, just can't throw it out. And certainly no need to replace it for any fancy new gear, because this one still works an absolute treat. And then the next one after that is this one here. Gets a lot of use and a lot of feedback about this one here. This is my old bricklaying trowel when I wrapped up my bricklaying business 15 odd years ago. I remember washing this trowel up for the last time, and I thought to myself, what am I going to do with my whole trowel? You know, there's some great memories with this. I mean, this isn't the only one I had over sort of 30 years running my bricklaying business, but this was my last one. I thought I just can't throw it out. You know, it's got the edge on it there where, you know, we've been cutting the mud off as I've been laying the bricks, and still a little bit of bricky mortar on the bottom under there. But good old bricklaying trowel, Marshalltown, cracking trowels. If any of you brickies out there, you're going to appreciate that one. But now all I did was just cut the point off it, and now I make a egg flip out of it for mixing up, you know, flipping me bacon, eggs and hamburgers and whatnot that I'm cooking up on the campfire. Absolute crackers, 2 of them. Old school egg flips, they're great. Let's check the next one out. Righto, so number 7 is my big cast iron frying pan. Now this old frying pan, it's been with me through thick and thin. And it's cooked up, you know, amazing campfire fry-ups from bacon, eggs and that sort of thing to, you know, wicked stir fries all on the campfire. It's an essential part of my campfire cooking gear, and it's probably cooked up more meals on the campfire than what I've had meat pies over the years, and I'm pretty partial to meat pie, but yeah, this is just an amazing bit of kit, and yeah, I use it a lot. So good old campfire fry pan. Works an absolute treat. Again, over 20 years old, and look at the condition of it. It's just how I look after stuff, old school ways, keeps on going. So let's have a look at the next one. So number 8 is my old school round jaffle iron. You know, again, have a look at it. These are the best, I reckon, these old round ones. This is, I don't know how old this thing is fitting, but certainly older than I am. But you know, who doesn't love a toasted sandwich, you know, when you're out there camping straight on the campfire, you know, whether it be, you know, cheese and spaghetti. I've done a number of those, to ham, cheese, tomato, probably one of my go-to favourites. I just absolutely love them, but just the best hands down, I reckon. So this is a great bit of kit for my camping gear, a good old jaffle iron. Let's check out the next one. Righto, so number 9. This one might seem a little bit boring compared to the rest of that gear, but it's an essential part for, you know, for my campfire cooking gear is the old shovel. You know, I use this to, whether I've got to clear a fire pit out, or, you know, use it to control my heat, put my, you know, the hot coals out of the campfire on the top of my, you know, my camp oven there. It's just an essential part for, you know, for any campfire cooking gear that I do, the good old shovel. And plus, if you ever camp in a remote area, you might need one of these to go and dig a hole or something like that if you ever got to dig out a bush toilet. So get yourself a shovel if you haven't got one for both of those applications. Let's check out the last one. Righto, so we'll check out my last one, and I've got two stainless steel cups here for my morning brew. Depends on what size of cup I want, if I just want a small one or feeling like I need a big full cup, so I get out the big one. But this one here, it's got a bit of a story to it. I actually found this, you know, I was coming home from Mansfield there one day, and it sort of dropped into Lake Bonnie-Doon there, and went for a walk around the lake. This is when the lake was down really low, beautiful sunny day, a bit like today, and I could just, in the distance on the bank, I could see just something, you know, glittering in the sunshine. So I thought, I'll go and check that out and see what that is. And down the bank I went and dug this out, and here it is. this old stainless steel cup out of Bonnie Doon there at Lake Eildon. And yeah, it's my go-to cup there when I want a big brew. And then I've got the little one here if I just want a small one. But you can't go past, you've got to have a, you've got to have a decent cup, for your morning cuppa in the morning. And these two give me a couple of good options there. Well, there you go, guys. That's my 10 items for my old school bush cooking gear. And again, not one of them's got a PowerPoint hanging off it, just how I like it, good old school ways. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Catch you on the next one. Hooroo.